What company policy at your job might actually be illegal? If you get injured at my work while on the clock, you must see the in-house medical staff and have a drug test before leaving, but they charge you $500 if you see the in-house medical staff. I'm pretty sure that's not legal, and I know loads of other employees who don't report injuries because of not wanting to deal with the $500 charge. As a bartender, we're not allowed to call 911. Each call counts as half a point against our liquor license. If we need officer assistance, we have to call the non-emergency line. I've heard of real emergencies happening needing real medical attention, and the bartender getting fired for calling 911. This one sounds more like the law is the one that's wrong here. I saw it all the time in college. When you punish people for getting help, they won't stop needing help, they'll just stop getting it. I'm going to throw my own in here since it inspired me to make this. So we aren't allowed to put out fires, no matter the context or size of the flame. We will lose our jobs. So to enforce this, my company removed every fire extinguisher from every office and every company vehicle. Edit. Also worth mentioning in regards to our fire policy, our job has us go to customers' homes. If a fire starts in their home, and they are unable to put it out, we are supposed to let it burn. My company requires certain employees, myself included, to take a 30-minute unpaid lunch break. That is legal, but I saw a policy during training that said employees who take a break can't leave the building during their break. In Georgia, if your employer requires a break of 30 minutes or more, it can only be unpaid if the employee is free to do as they please during that time. Any stipulations to break time mean they have to pay you during that time. Luckily the supervisor at my location doesn't care if I leave the building. I asked another employee about it, and she said they started that because people would go out during their breaks and come back late. Edit. We are required to clock out for lunch breaks. I work at a preschool. One of the sales jobs I used to have, if you did not meet a quota, you were fired, as it is with most sales jobs. Thing is, my buddy who was let go was forced to sign this paper that basically said they warned you if you did not meet a quota you would be fired. He signed, they let him go. Signing that paper on the way out basically ducked him, and he could not get unemployment because he signed a paper that said they warned him in advance, which they did not. I had a slow month shortly after, and they let me go, and I knew the paper was coming, and I obviously refused to sign. The two managers basically had a panic attack and said I had to sign it. My exact response, "What are you gonna do? Fire me if I don't?" And I left. My manager chased me out of the building trying to rescind the firing. My guess is they did not want to pay the fines they would get for having a former employee apply for unemployment. Not my current workplace, but my last one. We'd fill out timesheets up to 4 weeks in advance, and got told to just put 8 hours a day in each day. If we worked more than 8 hours a day, happened frequently, we got told that the timesheet said 8, so that's what we were paid for. Anybody who refused to fill them out ahead of time usually got let go pretty soon thereafter. 1. Fill out 4 weeks of timesheets. 2. Don't show up for work. 3. Wait 4 weeks. 4. Sue for unpaid wages. 5. Boss has to either pay you or admit to violating labor laws. Victims or witnesses to a crime on our property are not allowed to call 911. If there's a crime committed there, anything ranging from a small petty theft up to rape or murder, we are to notify our direct manager first, even if the manager isn't working that day. Then that manager is to call his or her manager, who then calls the security office about the incident, and together they decide whether or not to call the police. Thankfully, this hasn't happened yet. The last restaurant I worked at, there would be a 35% tip out for all servers that would just go to the owner. Not only that, but some of the servers were just paid regular hourly wages, but still collected tips that went straight to the owner. On top of that, there would be times where you can ask, "Hey, where's my paycheck?" And the boss would give you a 20, say he'll give you another 100 next week, and then the rest a few days later. Then you ask again for that week's paycheck, and it's like, didn't I just pay you? Pretty ducked up, and I don't know why I worked there as long as I did. No, this was not Amy's baking company. We have unlimited paid time off for our group, but we've been warned never to use it. When layoff time rolls around, they pick the person who has used the most paid time off, so calling in sick twice a year could cost you your job. They also make us make up our hours to reach 40 when we are sick, even though we're salary. I doubt that's illegal, but come flu season it spreads through our office like wildfire because no one is allowed sick days. I'm not sure if it's illegal, but it certainly did suck. I worked at a nursing home for a while, and we weren't allowed to discuss our pay, and we weren't allowed to disclose to anyone that we were short-staffed. We'd have one nurse's aide for the entire wing, and they were doing everything as fast as humanly possible. But if a patient complained that they were being ignored, which they were because of the staffing issue, we were just supposed to apologize and sit there and take the yelling at us and calling us lazy and not tell them the reason why. I hated that job. Back-breaking work, doing the work of 3 people, and everyone yelling at me all the time. Yup. Working a stocking job at Red and Khaki store this summer, a manager yelled at me and a co-worker when she heard him ask me what I make. We were all supposed to make $12 per hour, but he was confused because he was only getting paid $11. She said we aren't allowed to discuss it. I informed her that it's illegal to prevent us from discussing it, and told him to talk to HR. All the tips on carry-out go to the manager, not the person working the register. Edit. We have a cash jar that gets split pretty well, but credit card tips pretty much never get to us. Edit 2. I still work here. I get a little more than minimum wage. The tips would just be a nice bonus. Edit 3. Yes, people tip carry out. We don't expect it, but if we get it, we want what we earned. We often carry stuff to cars. The assembly procedure written for the optical components of a space-based telescope for the USAF. All optical assembly must be done in the nude. That line made it through 3 contractor reviews, 2 USAF reviews, and 1 NASA review. So when time came for the assembly, the one young lady on a team mostly populated with old guys from Switzerland said, "Duck no." The procedure was redlined and signed off very quickly. Haha, what the duck? All optical assembly must be done in the nude? Sounds like the kind of thing that you slip in to see if anyone will notice. Not illegal, but a real pain in the ass. Only 50% of sick leave could be unscheduled. I ended up filing for FMLA. When the doctor was filling out the paperwork, I explained why, and she said, "Who schedules being sick? No wonder I have to fill out so many of these forms." One of my co-workers had about 400 hours of sick leave accrued that they will never get paid for. One of my co-workers had about 400 hours of sick leave accrued that they will never get paid for. I've worked a lot of different places and have never been paid out for sick leave. It's a use it or lose it item with no rollover at most places. Now the unscheduled part is just stupid. 9 times out of 10 you don't plan on being sick, unless you have a planned surgery or something. I would just schedule dentist/doctor appointments as sick time to use it up though. I got pulled into my manager's office at a retail job one time, after one of the new hires told me that they were getting paid more than I was, as I was training him. I was pretty pissed off, and I wasn't quiet about it, so he informed me that it was against company policy to discuss our wages. I told him that that was illegal, and he just stared at me like I wasn't supposed to know that. Yeah, this shit here. It's illegal, but a lot of retail places push that narrative to scare people. I've been in situations where I'm at say a level 8 pay grade, and a level 4 pay grade was hired at the same rate with no prior experience or a lower sales job, even after my raises over the years and merit. I found out later that the other retail stores in the company by district didn't all do this, and I'm getting screwed by my general manager. I brought it up and was told, well, we are a bad market, and those other stores are better markets, so just deal with it. A lot of people transfer and commute to bigger stores or just leave after a month now. A place that I used to work for did something that's 100% illegal. Illinois has a unique law requiring companies to inform employees how their biometric data is to be used, stored, and deleted after they quit prior to collecting it from the employee. This company collected everyone's fingerprints for the new fingerprint reading time clocks. but they never bothered to inform the employees about the previously mentioned info and obtain their consent. Someone, not me, brought up how this is required by law and how the company was breaking it. He refused to do so until they went through the proper process. After they did what was required by law, he'd consent to them collecting his fingerprint. The company treated him like a troublemaker, and only acquiesced to doing what was required by law after him standing his ground for a month. But for every other single employee the company illegally collected their biometric data in the form of a fingerprint. We're prohibited from attending and participating in any type of political gathering and/or protest. We're also prohibited from using personal money to donate to charity. Why would you ever be forbidden to donate to charity? I think they want people to have the donation come directly from the paycheck, so the company can get tax benefits. There was a similar thread a while ago, where the company basically strong-armed their employees into doing this every month, so the company could rake in benefits. Not currently working the job in question anymore, so I feel I can say it readily enough. As a pizza delivery driver, for many chains, you sign off that you waive your right to a break even if you work 8 hours or more. Frequently pulled 9 and 10 hour shifts, sometimes even up to 12 hours without a break. All the while making less than minimum wage while on the road, for customers who frequently think the delivery charge goes to the driver, when most frequently it is collected by the store instead, so they don't tip. Add to that you're a robbery target, and even if you feel your life is threatened, if you fight back against your attacker you will get fired. Double quick if you are legally carrying a weapon yourself. Federal labor laws regarding tipped employees require that you make at least minimum wage including tips. Employers have to make up any difference if the tips earned don't make their hourly rate equal to the minimum. The last job I worked at was a school. We had part-year, teachers, and year-round employees, operations staff, but the year-round employees technically got paid time off hours that were equivalent to the time the part-year employees had off, something like 350 hours. We weren't allowed to use our paid time off hours, and they were just converted and paid out as a bonus at the end of the summer. I was the IT person, and was a year-round employee. We had some leadership changes, and I put in a 2 months notice because I didn't like where the school and its leadership were headed, but I wanted to give them time to find and train a new person before I left. I had about 200 hours of accrued paid time off at that time. The school network tried to duck me and said that I would just lose those paid time off hours when I quit. Apparently I was the first person to question that and fight them on it. Eventually they caved, and kept me on the payroll for a month and a half after I left, because they didn't have a system for paying out paid time off mid-year. The turnover rate was really high, 60 something people quit just at my school in the 3 years I was working there. There were only 1 or 2 people left from the original staff after 5 years at another school in the network. And I was the first person to get a paid time off payout. My last job forced everyone to come in 15 minutes early before the store opened at 10 AM, and your employment was threatened if you weren't there for this 9:45 meeting. However, we only got paid to work from 10 to 6. Say what you will about it, just being 15 minutes, but that shit adds up over the course of the year into around $1,000 plus a year that was unaccounted for. Anyone know if that's actually illegal? I quit because of tiny BS like this throughout the establishment, but no one else really fought back on this rule, while I thought it was ridiculous. Definitely illegal, and you can file a wage claim with no issues. The burden of proof that they paid you will be on them.